All right, what's going on, everyone? So quick Ukraine war update here. A bit of a controversy last couple days as a Ukrainian unit has been accused of conducting meat assaults outside of Pokrovsk, very similar to the tactic that we've seen used by Russia over the course of the last couple of years. The unit, 425th Scala, actually pushed back on that. We have their response in today's video where they call those allegations Russian propaganda. So, of course, we'll get into that. We've also got some Ukrainian deep strikes targeting airfields in Crimea and oil refineries in Russia, and 2 Russian aircraft in the last couple days mysteriously fell out of the sky. Now, getting started here with this news coming out of Pokrovsk. So, Russian sources a couple days ago began to share footage, and what we have today is primarily Russian sources, which is actually what the pushback is from the Ukrainian unit. So starting here, we have Diary of a Paratrooper talking about this Ukrainian counterattack outside of Pokrovsk, where they said they were able to destroy 1 tank, 2 armored personnel carriers, and kill 46 Ukrainian soldiers. Now, the location of where this took place, we've got Deep State map pulled up here, moving into the Pokrovsk direction. Just to the northwest, we've seen significant Russian advances in recent months trying to take Hershny, just here to the northwest. It looks like, from what I've been able to see the experts geolocate, is it looks like the footage that we're going to play here in a second was on this road just to the south, moving into Pokrovsk. So getting into those allegations, they originally came from Sergei Sternenko, who I have folks ask, are there such things as Ukrainian mill bloggers? That's kind of what Sergei would be, I guess. He's a YouTuber, massive channel, does a lot of updates on the war. Recently has started working directly with the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. And he put out a statement just yesterday saying, quote, "We often laugh at the enemy when he sends columns to storm his own troops. In conditions of total drone dominance, the columns become easy targets and the enemy suffers heavy losses. Yet he continues to do this again and again." But what about the Ukrainian commanders who do the same? In this footage, he says, there are remnants of the equipment of the 425th Regiment near Pokrovsk. I won't post footage of our soldiers' bodies. Unfortunately, there are many of them there. Treating our people this way is a crime, and there should be accountability for it. What is being done to people in certain formations is no better than Russian practices. This needs to be put to an end. Now, the 425th has issued their response, and I do want to note that we don't have any footage from the Ukrainian side of this fight so far, and what the 425th says is, hey, wait a minute, you're only going off of Russia's footage. It's selective footage to make it look like this assault was repelled when, in fact, it was a successful operation. And they dig into a bit of the details here where they say, quote, Mr. Sternenko used in his assessment of the regiment's actions data and videos from Russian sources, which deliberately combine the data of attacks on different days in different areas of the front and do not directly relate to the March 31st operation. Based on the distorted data, Mr. Sternenko made conclusions that do not correspond to reality, but rather serve the goals of Russian propaganda. And something I want to note is there's no indications that Sergei Sternenko is a bad actor, that he's trying to do anything to undermine the unit or undermine Ukrainian war efforts. From what I've been able to see, it is purely an observation, and an observation that all healthy militaries have, all healthy countries have. When you see something happening on the battlefield, if we're going to look at Russia in this case and say that is ridiculous, why do they continue to put troops forward in this drone-dominated battle space just to lose their lives when they get, not even 10 kilometers from the front? That same criticism should be applied to the Ukrainian military as well. So again, I believe what we're seeing here is good faith arguments maybe being made without all relevant information. Of course, that's yet to be seen because what we're getting from 425th is kind of a trust us, that's not what happened. We'll get back to you on the details once we share an investigation with the command, is kind of what they say. They say the facts are as followed in terms of the March 31st operation. The soldiers of Scala and the 155th Mechanized Brigade are carrying out orders to defend positions in the city of Pokrovsk. On the 31st, Scala conducted a successful counterattack on one of the key tactical objectives which had been captured by the enemy. To carry out the task and save the lives of our soldiers, favorable weather conditions were used. People moved in armored vehicles with additional protection and reliable communication, aerial reconnaissance, and fire support from drones, artillery, and tanks was provided. They said during the counterattack, enemy drones hit 4 of our armored vehicles right near the base of the attack. The assault group successfully landed or dismounted and carried out the assigned task and is currently continuing to fight at the designated target area, maintaining communications with the command and receiving maximum fire support. So from the 425th's perspective, yes, they did get hit with some drones going in. That seems pretty clear cut. And for what it's worth, that's what you would expect anywhere along the front. They maintain that they were able to successfully dismount soldiers on the objective and take that position back from Russia. They say, quote, "We're open to professional dialogue, inspections, and analysis. However, we consider it unacceptable to publicly disseminate the statements of a representative of the Defense Department not based on communication with the participants of the operation, not based on the results of an official investigation, but solely on the basis of videos and statements of the enemy. Such an approach does not contribute to establishing the truth, but only plays into the hands of the enemy." They say the 425th Scala is analyzing the actions carried out in our combat operations, including those on March 31st. The materials will be provided to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. And they note that if Sternenko wants to come out to the regiment's headquarters, he no doubt could do that and get a real-time update on the status of this operation. So an interesting one that I wanted to share here, because that criticism is necessary. 100%. No military is perfect, not by a long shot. And Ukraine in this fight specifically does not have manpower to waste on these counteroffensives. They just can't, which is why we've seen such a shift in recent months, really, to instead of large-scale mechanized or dismounted counterattacks carried out by Ukraine, it's relatively small scale, squad, platoon, maybe company size at most, heavily resourced with a lot of reconnaissance and a lot of strike drones, and then they take off little chunk by little chunk. So I think it is viable feedback here from Sternenko, and we'll see what happens when he inevitably links up with the 425th. We'll get more details on this operation. But again, right now, as this is being portrayed in Russian media, is a Ukrainian meat assault that was effectively defeated by the Russian military. Ukraine is a bit split on it, with the unit saying it was a successful operation, but Russia is cherry-picking data, and the official representative of the Ukrainian government chastising the unit for being careless with the lives of their soldiers. Now, I owed you guys a couple quick fundraiser updates here. In February, we worked with Protective Volunteer to help pick up a handful of things. One of those was a vehicle for medics of the 3rd Assault Brigade. I'll play the thank you video at the end of today's video. But we got that vehicle delivered in their hands, so the medics now have that available. We also just wrapped up our Ziggy's Paw fundraiser right at the end of the month. So we had a goal of 50,000. We hit that and some, so 53,841 raised. This is going towards the Bliskavka, or lightning drones. I'll link this fundraiser in the description below because we're going to keep it running for a couple more days. And I think there's some gear from the 26th Artillery that we're going to be giving away in a raffle here in the next couple days. So details pending, but go ahead and check this one out, and we'll put out more information as we get it on that campaign. But incredible work, everyone. It's so cool to see these campaigns come together, and the vehicles or the drones or the jammers or the drone detectors or whatever it is that you all provide end up in the hands of Ukrainian soldiers very quickly. It's very, very important. It's keeping people alive, to be blunt. Now, shifting over to some deep strikes here. Ukraine actually released some footage just a few hours ago that I'll play here. This is a combination of the SBS, or the Unmanned Systems Forces, and the GUR, or Ukrainian GUR, the intelligence service. They say they destroyed 4 drones, Russian drones, and a base of heavy UAVs, as well as an AN-72P aircraft and a Sword radar at the Pokrovsk airfield in Crimea. They say the Orion, O-R-I-O-N, is a drone capable of staying in the air for 24 hours at a depth of up to 250 to 300 kilometers, conducting reconnaissance and carrying up to 250 kilograms of explosives. So that's a big payload. They say the destruction of the 4 UAVs of Orion has been confirmed. They say also a transport aircraft tanker AN-72P and a Soviet-era 2-coordinate circular surveillance radar were found and destroyed. They said these strikes were carried out with the Ukrainian FP2 long-range munition with a weight of 60 to 100 kilograms of explosives, adding that these deep strikes are to be continued. And they have. I mean, every couple days we're getting additional deep strikes carried out, not just in Crimea, which is a pretty fertile hunting ground for Ukrainian drones at this point, but inside of Russia as well. We'll get back to those deep strikes in a second on the Ust-Luga oil terminal in northwest Russia. But we also got notification in the last couple days that 2 Russian aircraft went down, and there was speculation that these may have been shot down by Ukraine. At one point, some rumors that an interceptor drone may have actually brought one of these down. That's not confirmed. Right now, it looks more and more like malfunctions or just the aircraft had an issue and fell out of the sky, or one of these crashed into a cliff face. So, fighter bomber Russian mill blogger a couple days ago confirmed that a Su-34 had gone missing, suggesting Eternal Flight Brothers or whatever it is he says, suggesting that the crew there had been killed. No additional details on that I've been able to see in terms of where it happened or what caused the bomber to fall out of the sky. And then that same day, just a few hours later, he said, unfortunately, we have more bad news here. Military informant, another Russian mill blogger here, said 6 crew members and 23 passengers of an AN-26 with which communication was lost in Crimea have died, according to the Ministry of Defense. They say the preliminary version or the preliminary inspection or investigation says there's a technical malfunction, and Russian media TASS reported that the aircraft crashed into a rock. So we'll see if Ukraine had anything to do with that. But as of now, it looks like probably 2 malfunctions, 2 more Russian aircraft down. Now, Ukraine has had a role in kind of shuttering Russian oil exports in recent days. The Ust-Luga oil terminal in northwest Russia has been hammered. According to MSN, it's been hit 5 times in 10 days. They say regional officials reported 3 injuries, including 2 children, and damage to oil processing facilities. Previous strikes in recent days ignited fires at storage tanks and forced temporary halts to fuel loading at both Ust-Luga and Primorsk, key to Russia's Baltic oil exports. They said between March 23rd and 29th, repeated Ukrainian drone strikes on these 2 facilities reduced Russia's Baltic oil shipments by 43% compared to the prior week. Bloomberg data shows daily exports fell to 2.32 million barrels from over 4 million barrels per day, the lowest since the start of the full-scale invasion, with losses exceeding $1 billion. They say fires and halted loading operations to the ports were the primary causes of the disruption. This is one of those kind of like boring aspects of war, right? It's not knocking out tanks. It's not infantry or maneuver forces advancing on the battlefield. But knocking out these oil terminals, or at least delaying them and postponing some of this production, has a very real impact on the Russian ability to wage war. It takes a while for you to actually see that impact at the front, but this is the type of million small cuts that genuinely could reduce Russia's ability to keep this war going as long as they would like. So we'll see. But Ust-Luga is certainly in the crosshairs as of late. And it doesn't look like Russia has found a way to adequately protect that oil facility. If it's getting hit 5 times in 10 days, it's probably going to get hit again, right? And it looks like Ukraine has found a way through those Russian air defense systems. Now, for anyone interested, we stood up a Substack recently. It's kind of a consolidation of all content. So it's long form, short form, interviews, a roll-up of the research throughout the day, and then a community chat feature that I'm pretty excited about. Cool to be able to go back and forth with you guys in there. That link will be in the description below for anyone interested. But that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
Hi, I would like to say a big thank to PAF, UFL and Preston Stewart for providing the vehicle. It will soon be used for different tasks in frontline areas. Also, I want to thank the airline Finland for searching the vehicle. Everything was organized from foundation to delivery to our place. This is a lot of work, and these amazing people made it possible. They helped us meet important logistic needs in the frontline area. Thank you again for your help and your great support. Slava Ukraini!